Welcome to the Lunation Situation. We are going to talk about the full moon in Aries coming up September 29th, 10 o'clock in the morning, GMT. Adjust for your own local time. Any rituals, especially releasing rituals, letting go rituals, ending rituals, are to be done until that time. And then once the moon is full, you literally surrender to the energies and you flow. So this full moon occurs at 6 degrees of Aries. So with this full moon, we kind of are really in eclipse energies because only 2 weeks after this lunation, we are hit by a solar eclipse, which is a new moon in Libra. So only 2 weeks before that means that we are in strong eclipse energies, even though this lunation is not yet an eclipse. That means we're in a whirlwind of time frame. There's a lot of changes in the air. There's a lot of things in the air, and astrologically, it will give us a wonderful insight into what is going on. What are the energies that we're dealing with? So we are looking at this full moon in Aries, and yet we have an insight into the eclipse energies. So a lot of changes, a lot of abrupt, different influxes of energies. We're tumbling upside down. What is even up? What is even down? A lot of loose energies, and it could go either way. But we're still here to analyze that one lunation before the eclipse, and that is this full moon in Aries at 6 degrees of Aries. So look where that is in your chart. First of all, a full moon is, of course, a period of some kind of completion, some kind of, full circle. Something is coming to light, something is being illuminated, something is being shown to you from the depths of who you are or your environment. It is now time to notice it, to deal with it, and to let it go. It could be some kind of ending. It could be some kind of a fruitful harvest. This could also be a celebration point, but it's clear that we're wrapping something up around 6 degrees of Aries. So it's relevant what house that falls into for you. Below this video, you will find a very brief description of what the houses entail. So look where 6 degrees of Aries falls. That house is activated now for you. And something is completing, something is wrapping up, something is ending. In Aries, this could be a project. This could be, some kind of entrepreneurial activity. This is where, Aries is a very leading, pioneering energy. It's a very warrior kind of energy. So this is where we fight for something, where we go after something. And it's our goals, it's our motivations, it's our passions. Aries is very fiery, very motivated. So we might find some kind of insights around that. If we have taken bold actions, this could be a checking in point. Well, how much has this served you? Are you being fierce in your own life? Are you putting yourself first? Are you making yourself a priority? And if you have, then this is where you could, find something tangible in your life. Or it's actually whatever's holding you back, some kind of emotional side to these things might be coming up for you. And as I said, the house is relevant for the kind of topics, the kind of emotions. But Aries loves a challenge, so we could feel something around that. On the opposite side, with a full moon, we always have the sun at the other side of it. So it means that the sun is at 6 degrees of Libra, and interestingly, it's conjunct Pallas Athena, and that is very about strategy and planning and recognizing patterns. It's kind of an intelligence, strategy, combat kind of vibe as well. So perhaps we're challenged to rearrange our strategies and to balance them out a little bit, and that might be the challenge here. It's time to be really alert, to follow your instincts, to become more aware of who you are and your goals, your motivations. And if there's any lack in your motivation, this is a time to see into that, to deal with it, to heal it. You know, as I said, this is a very passionate energy, a very playful energy, very exciting energy. So hopefully we'll feel all that. On the other hand, full moons tend to be very emotional times. So, you know, Aries is about anger as well and aggression. So these underlying emotions, especially if they were not tapped into, will really bubble up and will have to be faced, will have to be dealt with. I always say that anger is a tremendous fuel, very necessary emotion that cannot be pushed away. So this is a full moon where we have to acknowledge our own anger and use it to your own benefit. So it's a checking in on your goals and your motivations. What brings you passion? Passion is a very important goal right now, and you have to really follow your passion. If you're not passionate, you have to really challenge yourself to find whatever it is that gives you that fiery motivation. It's also because the North Node is in Aries, right? So we're really pushed into this direction. Anything that's not serving you can easily fall around this time. That could be also thoughts, beliefs, you know, anything holding you back from being your truest, pioneering warrior self. It's a very dynamic energy. A lot of things can happen. It's very confrontational, so don't be afraid to speak up, to express your feelings. What are you here to fight for? What are you here to win? These are the kind of questions that might come up. Other than that, if we look at the chart, interestingly, the moon is making no aspect, making it kind of an out of bound energy, and that means that it could be potentially a bit of a wild full moon, also because it's in the eclipse energy, right? So, you know, things can go many ways, kind of unexpected energies as well. So there is no aspect to the moon that I can explain to you, but we can look at the ruler, which is Mars. Mars rules Aries, and Mars is making a lot of interesting patterns that will explain not only this full moon, but also a bit of these eclipse energies, I feel. So let's first start with a hard one. Mars is conjunct the South Node in Libra, and that just brings up a lot of relationship issues, a lot of, you know, problems around how we relate, and therefore the problematic ways of doing that. What are the issues around relating with people? How can we have more healthy conversations? How can we channel anger or frustrations in a way that benefits relationships and doesn't make them fall apart? You know, this is about more intelligence in our communication, and sort of balancing out of the masculine energies here. And it's about also regarding the needs of others, to find harmony in partnership with other people. And this could also be in business. This can also be in law, and this can also be about, you know, like clients or anything that is about sharing or cooperating with usually one-on-one. So it is sort of an intimate relationship, but not necessarily romantic. But it could be, because Libra is the relationship sign, and there is a lot of other indications in this chart that enhances that. So it probably is about relationships, but you could also face this in business and law. So it is something about releasing a lot of these patterns that aren't working in relationships. And I always say that South Node Libra is about, asking too much for validation, asking too much for other people's opinions, being lost in too many ideas and thoughts, so it's hard to make decisions. Stuff that Mars does not like. It likes a very straight way of doing things, a very direct focus kind of. And in Libra, Mars is just a bit all over the place and kind of debilitated. It's hard to move for Mars, but there's a reason, right? There's a reason, because it's near the South Node, so it's about releasing a lot of stuff that was problematic in relationships. And so, that direct focus that Mars usually has apparently is not that beneficial for relationships. So this is about balancing and finding harmony in relationships in a healthy way. So it's not about only thinking about yourself, but it's also not only thinking about the other person. There is a balance in the middle, right? And it's being challenged, because opposite this Mars South Node conjunction, we have, of course, the North Node, which is where we have to move towards, which is kind of accentuates a bit of this full moon energy in Aries, because the North Node is in Aries. And so, as I said, it's all about self-prioritization, knowing who you are, finding your identity, being really unapologetic about it. Now, the North Node is making a really interesting situation here. It's conjunct Aries, which is a dwarf planet. And interestingly, some kind of a disease is being connected to this situation. And I've noticed that actually talking about this, I did not know. You can please look at my previous video, because I explained a lot about this dwarf planet, and I knew when I saw it last year, analyzing, 2023, I knew it was a biggie, I guess intuitively, but I had no idea that it was going to be front stage in the world news. So I explained a lot in my previous video on this dwarf planet conjunct the North Node in Aries. Please look at that one. I cannot repeat this name too often, because my viewers are dropping like intensely, and so I really ask for your support. Please like and subscribe to this channel and comment if you care, so that I feel motivated and supported. It's a wild energy. It's just it's crazy, but a lot of there's a lot of energy with this conjunction on the North Node in Aries, and a lot of anger is just has to come out. And we have to really fight for our opinions, to know that we matter, and to take up space, and to really voice our opinions. And this is all hugely challenged by the T-square to Pluto. Now, Pluto has been T-squaring the nose for many, many months, like maybe 10 months or so. I don't know, very, very long. Basically, the whole story of 2023 is Pluto squaring the nose, and it still is squaring the nose with this lunation. And now, you know, it wasn't always as relevant, right? Sometimes it's highlighted because a certain planet or point is touching it. And indeed, in this case, Mars is touching this T-square with the South Node in Libra. So this is being fired up, and the push of Pluto in retrograde currently here in this chart in Capricorn is, you know, Pluto is that excavator, right? It brings out all the secrets, the dirty, the hidden, the unseen from the depth up, and it brings it to light. It shows the brutal, bare, raw truth. And about Capricorn is that, you know, a lot of these systems as we've known it, be it economy, be it politics, be it social systems, cultures, businesses that we have known to be there for a long time, but these systems are crumbling. They are not the real truth, and they have been operating from tremendous hierarchy, from a very patriarchal point of view, and it has not been beneficial for many people. You know, it was very top down, only a few actually benefiting this system, and it's crumbling. And of course, you know, unfortunately, the people who know astrology are not always necessarily good people. You can also use astrology for not so good things, and I feel they really know astrology, so they are actually using this crumbling period also for their own benefit. So that's why you can see a lot of chaos during this time. And as I said, it will be enhanced because it's eclipse time, basically. And because Aries can be very chaotic too. It can be, you know, it's the creative spark, as we say. It's where the astrological zodiac starts, right? It's the first sign of the zodiac. But it's just a bit, it's kind of a bit undirected, Aries. So even though it loves a goal and goes after it in a direct, focused manner, it is a bit immature. It doesn't fully understand like consequences, and it's a very instinctual sign, right? So it has an idea, it has a hunch, it has a feeling, and then it just follows it. And some maturation needs to happen so that we can really trust that the instincts are correct and that we aren't just following selfish needs or, you know, egotistical pursuits. So this whole challenge with the North Node in Aries, South Node in Libra is also about, you know, not being too selfish. There is a maturation that the answer is in the middle, right? So we do need to find harmony and balance. It just has to be in a healthy way. And here it will not be in a healthy way. This is the T-square. So this is going to really challenge a lot of problems. A lot will come up that needs to be faced. It will be uncomfortable. It will be challenging, not that easy. And since this is a full moon, it will probably be a lot of emotions as well that can come up. And some just really harsh truths that we have to face, that we have to deal. And there is just, you know, Mars is also about our physical body, our vitality. So this is also where we might be physically challenged as well. And I hope it's not what they are talking about, with kind of spreading that, you know, whole illness situation again. But it could be, I wouldn't be surprised. It can be. But looking at the video before this one, which was the new moon in Virgo, I speak a lot about that conjunction with Aries, and it is very significant. And it can go in, just like with every planet and every energy, it can go in a low expression, sort of negative expression, or it can be used to its truest meaning, and that is the higher expression. But I think we are going to work through a lot of chaos. And you really have to know who you are and stand firmly in that identity, to not be afraid of who you are and standing for that. This is a testing period. Testing your strength, your courage. Now Mars, the ruler of this lunation, is also involved in 2 yachts, which we call the finger of God, and that is pretty interesting. One is actually facing Mars, conjunct the South Node in Libra, and it is made up of a sextile, as we call, which is a 60-degree angle between Neptune retrograde in Pisces and Uranus also retrograde. This is an aspect that I found, again, very interesting about 2023, and I talked about it in my astrology course, that the heightening sextile between Neptune and Uranus is something to watch out. And here it's really close. It's like 3 degrees apart. It's the closest it's gonna get this year in 2023. And the moment that I saw this, I felt like a song, which is very Neptunian and Pisces, to hear songs, music, because sound is frequency, and actually both Neptune and Uranus are about higher frequencies, and they are about the higher perspective. Uranus is about breaking free from the status quo and challenging it and finding the perspective of your own uniqueness and how you can really lift up in consciousness. And then Neptune is very much about the spiritual side of life, the mystical side of life, the magical side of life. So this sextile between Uranus and Neptune is, as I said, I heard a song and it was like a whole new world. And I think it's about building that, because it's a sextile. So a sextile is always like they're working together, but they require effort. So it's not that the divine is just going to give it to us. We have to find a tandem so they both go like equally supportive. They say that a sextile is about stimulating and exciting each other, which is pretty cool. In the Book of Neptune, written by Stephen Forrest, there's a passage on Uranus conjunct Neptune, which happened at early 90s, specifically 1992. And he speaks that astrologically, that was a moment of intense explosion of astronomical knowledge. It is when we found a lot of these asteroids and trans-Neptunian orbits that we often refer to as dwarf planets, like Aries and like Sedna and even, I believe, Ceres. He says that it coincided with an explosion of our understanding of the depths of the mind. So not only did we find a lot of astronomical objects that we didn't know of before. There was also an increased understanding of how the mind operates for humans. And that's pretty exciting, pretty interesting, because that was a conjunction. That's when the energies of Uranus and Neptune blended together. But this is a sextile, so now they are working together. And you have to see, like, it's in a chronological sense, this is an upgrade, right? This is like further along that story. That was 1992. Now we're 30 years later. We have a sextile between these two. So they are working together. And this could, you know, really bring in a lot of synchronicities, a lot of magic and mysticism to our lives. This is about upgrading our physical reality because, you know, Uranus is in Taurus. So it's about finding the mysticism in the body, anchoring it into this reality, and some kind of return to bodily instinct, you know, upgrade of our five senses, and really becoming in tune with this magical, mystical side of life. So our mind has already, I think, deepened a lot, but maybe we are now entering a vast field of our subconscious mind, which goes far deeper, and then somehow changing our reality because of it. You know, because a lot of the subconscious mind, like, I think it directs us for like 95%. So it's in charge of most of the choices you make. And most of us do not know what's in that subconscious mind, what's actually driving us. So this could be a nice sextile of awareness between Uranus and Neptune, of ourselves, of how we create our reality, and how we can change that. So this is also, I believe, a wonderful manifestation power that's kicking in through awareness, through embodying both these planetary energies, you know, the mystical and also the very intelligent, freedom-seeking Uranus, you know, stepping into the unique self. So a lot of synchronicities, just adding a lot of meaningfulness to your life. And there's just with the sextile a wonderful Neptunian stimulus. So grand spiritual upgrade, being able to see, touch, smell the unseen world. So what was for a very long time unseen energies for us that we were not aware of, we are starting to tap into. And I think this is probably the reason why also astrology, but also in divination tools such as tarot, are becoming so hugely popular, because slowly but surely we are understanding how the unseen world works, how there is support in the spiritual angelic realm, how there is a lot going on that we cannot see yet, that we cannot understand yet, and this is tapping into that. So that's pretty deep, but it's part of that yod, and it's an awkward energy towards Mars and the South Node, because, as I said, that is relationships. So, and especially the masculine, which I actually find that is a logical aspect, because traditionally the masculine energies are not that in touch with that mystical, magical, meaningful part of life. You know, just like Mars and Aries, the masculine tends to be, has evolved into a very selfish energy, and you know, prioritizing itself and just following instincts, following pleasure, you know, being very self-motivated. And now this is a bit hard because the North Node is in Aries too. So it's not necessarily bad, right? You do need to be self-motivated. You do need to know who you are. But it's just that that aspect, especially in the masculine, has not been serving relationships. And there is here an upgrade. There is here a release of the masculine aspects, and this can be female or male, right? But it will largely be male because they're naturally more in tune with the masculine. There's an awkward, so it's not going to feel nice. It's not going to feel easy. They're not even going to understand it, but they're in a massive upgrade towards that whole new world that we're working to. So that's part of the yod, one side of it. Then it is also involved, again, there's another one, also with Mars in the South Node, but this time it is working with the Venus in Leo. And this is interesting because Venus in Leo was retrograde over the entire summer. It is now almost done with the post-shadow period. And it means that it has, how do you say that? It has almost finished its entire retrograde movement through Leo. So Venus is just really has smartened up. And Venus is our values, our how we see beauty, but also love, relationships, partnerships, and money. So here it's enhanced. The masculine and the feminine energies are working together. This is all about relationships because, well, I already said everything there is to say about Mars in the South Node in Libra. But Venus sextiling this situation, it's interesting because Venus is exactly on Juno, or Juno is exactly on Venus, which enhances the whole commitment, marriage, and partnership aspect of Venus. This is about healthy relationships. This is about romance and passion and commitment. And we're working through that, how that works, now knowing more about who we are, knowing better how to express ourselves. We stand more balanced within our own masculine and feminine sides. But we are challenged here by the divine to work towards Neptune in Pisces, because that's where the finger is pointing at. That's where the yod is pointing at, the second one. So the first one is pointing at Mars in the South Node. The second one is pointing at Neptune in Pisces retrograde. Now, that's all about spiritual love, right? That's all about unconditional love, compassion, really high divine expressions of energy, of love. So the divine is clearly pointing us to a much more evolved understanding of love, relationships, and commitment, and how to do it in a healthy way. It's about incorporating the spiritual aspect of life, your connection to the source or whatever spiritual practice you have. So this, I feel, is also a big Venus retrograde story. She was involved in a lot of yods pointing to Neptune. So there's an upgrade in that aspect, through understanding ourselves and how we can move within a relationship and create a more balanced, fulfilled, excited commitment. And it's being challenged here. But it's all in the background of this full moon. So it is really interesting that there's a divine push, but it's probably through discomfort. It's probably through some hardships. But we're getting all the energetic support here to work through it and to find a meaning that's bigger than what you're used to. So we are evolving our lives on this planet, and this is, in that sense, you know, these last lunations have all been so meaningful. And I mean big, you know, big divine cosmic energies, and you know, it's still going that way. So I hope this has brought you a lot of insights and awareness. May you have a wonderful full moon in Aries. May you tap into the self-power that you have. May you feel motivated and fired up to go after, to lead your own life with, you know, excitement and inspiration. But of course, think about the other and how you can balance that out. The next lunation is going to be the eclipse, so a lot of cosmic energies working here. See you in the next lunation. Take care. Bye.